people have a tendency to not fully read or comprehend, complex legal documents. And who can blame them, right? Some of these things are hundreds of pages long, right? Who has time to go through that with a fine-tooth comb and so on, right? However, before you invest, your hard-earned money in any syndication or a fund, I think it's very important to, at least look at some of the major parts of the PPM, right? The Private Placement Memorandums. Today, we're going to talk about 5 points in the PPM that I really think you need to you need to pay attention to very carefully. Sorry about my dog. But anyway, let's get into it. And first of all, a lot of these are like boilerplate, right? So they have a lot of standard sections that are all the same, and then maybe some parts are going to be slightly different. So the absence of these standard sections, that's definitely the first major red flag. Anyway, let's jump into the 5 points that I want to cover today. Number 1 is missing or vague fee disclosures. First of all, I don't know how this gets by the legal team or whatever, but anyway, it does sometimes happen. Okay, and yes, there are typical fees associated with syndications or maybe even funds, right? Let's call it like acquisition fees, disposition fees, asset management fees, and so on. If these are not listed clearly, crystal clearly, broad daylight, whatever you want to call it, if these are not listed clearly, well, for me, there's absolutely no way I would want to be involved in a syndication or a fund like this. And I think that it makes sense to know what the fees are, right? No argument there. And number 2, which kind of goes hand in hand with fee disclosures, is waterfall distributions, right? Waterfalls basically determine how you get paid, right? It determines the split of the profits that go to the LPs and that goes to the GPs, right? If this is not clear, stay clear of the whole thing, right? Just don't get involved in that. You definitely need to know how the profits are split. And yes, waterfalls can sometimes be a little bit complex, right? Because there's many things to consider, like hurdles, pref, promote, blah, 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 whatever. However, make sure it's there, it's clear. You take time to understand what everything is, right? If you don't know, ask. Okay, and number 3 is a lack of depreciation and tax details. Tell you a secret, right? One of the best parts of investing in real estate is the tax depreciation, and that is one of the reasons that I strongly prefer direct investment rather than into like a REIT, because I think in that case you don't really get the tax advantages or the depreciation advantages. You just get a share of the profits, which is totally different. The PPM should clearly disclose how depreciation is allocated. I have seen some where it's left up to the discretion of the sponsor or the lead GP, but personally, I wouldn't want that, and I would want to be crystal clear on, okay, what portion of the depreciation am I going to be allocated. Number 4 is a vague or missing exit strategy. Okay, so this is a bit of a double-edged sword because market conditions will apply. And let's say, for example, cap rates go up. You may not want to sell at that time because it might be very unfavorable, right? You'll get a lower price than you could if cap rates were going down or went down. So yes, it's going to depend a little bit on market conditions, but you still want something written clearly in the PPM, right? If things go south, you always want to have things in writing that you can refer to. Everyone hopes that things don't come to that, but they can. So the way I think about this is that before you get into any syndication, before you get into any fund, before you get into any partnership like a JV, think about it as if you're one day going to dissolve this partnership, or you're going to break up the marriage or whatever. You're going to get divorced. So make sure you have everything in writing from the beginning so that, okay, yeah, maybe right now everything is cool, but if poo or whatever hits the proverbial fan, you really want to have things spelled out clearly. Because if the exit is not clear, you risk having your money trapped. Now, of course, if you're getting 10% cash distributions, you may not really care too much about your money being trapped, but still, better to have more clarity than less. Okay, and number 5 is a promise of a risk-free return. It's a lie. Or very high liquidity, right? Risk-free, okay, everyone knows every single investment involves risk. Unfortunately, the PPM is supposed to be mostly, 99% telling you, okay, how this investment can go south and you can lose all your money, and then 1% is just showing you the so-called, glorious sunshine and rainbows projected returns, right? But anyway, every investment involves risk. And then number 2 is high liquidity, right? In real estate, commercial real estate, it's very illiquid. It's a long-term investment. Don't expect to be able to, pull your really careful. Don't expect to be able to pull your money out, anytime you want to. It's a long-term fixed commitment. Oh, and the PPM should always have like risk factors, and of course they're probably going to also address what they're doing to mitigate those risks. But every investment has risks, and if they're not listed, you're either dealing with someone with really bad intentions, or you're dealing with someone who is really, really unsophisticated, or something else. I don't know. But it's definitely going to be a major red flag and something that you should run, not even just walk away from. And the bottom line, great sponsors are transparent. And in addition to that, they don't only want you there for one deal, they want you to go on a long journey with them to build wealth together. If you're looking at deals and you want a second pair of eyes on it, I'm more than happy to take a look. Otherwise, reach out to someone that you trust, someone in the space, someone with a lot of experience who can tell you, oh no, this, these are red flags, and then maybe you can take that back to the sponsor or whoever else and see how they respond. But actually, if they give you a PPM and these things are already missing, chances are this has already been approved by the legal team, and to me that's already a major red flag. And well, buyer beware. I wouldn't get involved with them on that deal, but everyone has their own path to take, I guess. See you in the next video. Haven't joined yet? Our free investing group gives you front row access to new deals and helpful investing education. Sign up today.